class. This side your faculty and coach for the subject business environment. I'm Vivek Birla. And again, welcoming you all for the next topic in this session. We have so far studied a lot about the subject business environment, and in the previous session, we have started up with a topic called natural environment and the technological environment. In the natural environment and technological environment, we have studied the basic overview about the natural environment. We have even studied the basic overview of the technological environment, then about the innovations, then about the technological leadership, and so on. Then we have seen the various appropriate technologies and the technology adoption things over there. Then the impact of the technology, and moving further, we will be studying about the transfer technology and IT and the marketing over there. So moving ahead over there, we have seen previously over here in this part, the last topic was transfer of technology. Transfer of technology, as we have discussed yesterday or in the previous session, the transfer or technology transfer is a process by which the commercial technology is disseminated. This will take in the form of technology transfer transactions, which may or may not be legally binding the contract, but which will involve the communication by the transfer of the relevant knowledge to the recipients. Thus, now we have to understand what are the levels of the technology transfer. So, as been simplified treatment of the subject, we would suggest 4 levels of technology transfer. The first is operational level. The operational level represents at the bottom level, which are the simplest one needed for the operating a given plant, those basic manufacturing skills as well as some demanding troubleshooting, quality control, maintenance, and the procurement skills. Second is the duplicate level. Duplicate level is basically the intermediate level. It is a level in which you have the duplicative skills, which include the investment capabilities needed to expand the capacity and to purchase the integrated foreign technology transfer. Third is adaptive level. The adaptive level is basically, it is a technological self-reliance level in which the imported technologies are adapted and improved, and design skills for more complex engineering are being learned. Further is the innovative level. Innovative level is basically, it is characterized by the innovative skills based on the formal R&D that are needed to keep pace with the technological frontiers or to generate the new technologies. So again, I'm repeating out the levels are 4. Operational level. Operational level is at the most niche level or the bottom level, and it's the simplest one, in which basically the manufacturing skills which are able to solve out, or which are able to troubleshoot some issues, or which help to improve some quality processes or help to maintain and procure the skills are being focused, and we focus on the technology transfer related to these areas. Duplicative levels are those skills, those technologies. For example, if someone is having skill in foreign country or in some other location, either in order to expand or in order to procure the things or in order to improve the capabilities, the duplicative skills are being taken up. That means same thing you are doing, same thing other person is doing, you are also doing the same thing. That is called as the duplicative level. Third is the adaptive level. Adaptive level means it is a technology of a self-reliance. That means you try to import the technologies and which are already existent, but you try to adapt them to your environment and in a better, improved way. You try to adapt them in order either to improve your processes or to improve your design skills or to solve some complex engineering problems over there. So third is adaptive level. Fourth is the innovative level. Innovative level is something which is more taken out from the R&D format. When new innovations are done, new research is done, when something new creative has been taken out, that time these technologies help to generate better solutions, and thus these innovative level is something which is not very common, but if these are more found in those organizations, those firms, manufacturing firms or research firms which are frontier in the research side, because innovations comes only and only through the deep analysis and getting solutions. But it is also, remember, innovation is not always, it can even come through the grassroots level through anyone over there. Now next is channels of technology flow. The channels of technology flow, these are the important channels for the flow of the technology and are the foreign investment technology, license agreements and joint ventures. So there are 3 types of channels. First is the foreign investment, second is the technology license agreements, and the third is the joint ventures. So what is foreign investments? Flow of the technology can come through when some other people, some other organizations, some other businesses from other nations, they try to invest in our own country. That is, traditionally the flow of technology to the developing countries has been an integral part of the direct foreign investment. The multinational corporations and other firms have restored to the foreign direct investment for the variety of reasons like protection and development of the foreign market, utilization of the local resources in the host country, including the cheap labor, overcoming or lessening of the impact of the tariff restrictions and the tax laws. Thus, the flow of the sophisticated technology in particular has thus been associated with the direct investment. Various technology license agreements and the joint ventures, the technology transfer has been taking place on a significant scale through licensing agreements and joint ventures. There has been a fairly rapid growth of the joint ventures encouraged by the government restrictions on the foreign investments and the foreign trade, or the perceived advantages of such ventures. When foreign capital participation in the joint ventures is below 50%, technology agreements assumes considerable significance. So remember, technology transfer in the technology license agreements is possible when the technology transfer has been taking place at a significant scale. That means there is some high volume of things, either in terms of the technology, in terms of the monetary part, in terms of some thing which has a big volume. And in this, the licensing agreements and joint ventures comes into the picture. So this is something which is very common and is growing at a very high speed. People come, for example, Maruti Suzuki, or it may be Honda Activa, or it was used to be Honda Activa, or there are many organizations which work together. So they are the joint ventures. Now even the governments are even giving some restrictions on foreign investments and foreign trade. Therefore, these people enter with the joint venture mode through the different partners, and with the help of them, these people are moving into the market by transfer of the technology and the resources. Now, how the technology transfer is being done? What are the methods of technology transfer? Remember, transfer technology take a variety of the forms depending on the type, nature, and extent of the technology assistance required. These are following important methods of the technology transfer. First is training or the employment of the technical expert. The training or the employment of the technical expert, it is fairly simple and unpatented manufacturing techniques, processes which can be transferred by imparting the requisite training to the suitable personnel. Alternatively, such technologies can be acquired by employing foreign technical experts. So remember, the first is fairly simple and unpatented manufacturing techniques, processes can be transferred by imparting the requisite training to the suitable persons. So it is something in which you transfer by giving the training to someone. And even there are many times you can see that the people from the foreign areas or from the foreign environments, they also come down to train the people, and then the transfer of the technology take place through this part. Second is contract for the supply of machinery and the equipments. The contract for the supply of machinery and the equipment which normally provide for the transfer of the operational technology pertaining to such equipment is often quite adequate for the manufacturing purposes, not only in the small scale projects but also in the number of the large scale industries where the nature of the technology is not particularly complex. Third is the licensing agreement. The licensing agreement under which the licensor enters into the agreement with the licensee is another country to use the license expertise for the former. It is important means for the technology transfer because the licensing agreements are usually entered into when the foreign direct investment is not possible or desirable. So licensing is basically, it is a process in which the licensor tries to move into this other country or other area who, with the help of a technical expertise or experts, and they try to use that person because of which the technology transfer comes into the picture. Fourth is the trunky contract. Trunky contract basically it refers to the transfer of the complex technologies which often take place through the trunky project contracts, which include supply of such services as design, creation, commissioning, or supervision of the system or the facility of the client, apart from the supply of the goods. So, what is turnkey projects? Turnkey projects are basically, these are the short-term projects or the small projects which are being taken up, which include supply of such services as the design, either designing of the project, either creation of this one, either commissioning of some project, or either supervision or control of the project, or either creating some facility for some clients, or even logistics, supply management, or supply of any intermediary elements are all example of the turnkey projects. And oil, gas, pipelines, pipelines, or even various projects related to the energy sectors or to the mining sectors. They are very highly, in these areas we can very highly see the turnkey contracts which comes into the picture on a very regular interval. What are the issues with transfer of the technologies? In many cases, the developing countries often obtain the foreign technology at unreasonably high prices. In number of cases of the foreign direct investment associated with the technology transfer, the net outflow of the capital by way of dividend, interest, royalties, and the technical fees has been found to be much higher than the corresponding inflow. Thus, the appropriateness of the foreign technology to the physical, economical, social conditions of the developing countries is the most important aspect to be considered in the technology transfer. It has been argued that there are large number of cases where the foreign technology transfer has been irrelevant or inappropriate to the recipient's country's socio-economic priorities and the conditions. Further, heavy reliance on the foreign technology may lead to the technological dependence. It is pointed out that the import of the modern sophisticated technology has tended to displace the traditional indigenous technology which has been improved under the different set of policies. Thus, the steady stream of new products or the processes introduced by the multinationals into the developing countries has been unfavorable to the promotion of the domestic technological capacities and thus discourage local scientists and the technicians from devoting themselves to the practical development problems. Next is in this, it creates an attitude of subservient dependence which may inhibit the capacity to do even relatively minor adaptive research or to adopt the processes which are developed locally. It has been observed that there is a tendency to transfer the outdated technology to the developing countries, thus they would not enjoy the advantages of the latest technologies and would still technology lag behind. It is unfortunate that the owners of the modern technology view the developing countries as a means of salvage technology that is obsolete in the advanced country even when they possess more advanced technologies. Now, in this part, the next is promotion and the regulation. Despite the problems of the shortcoming of the foreign technology, it is widely recognized that the properly regulated and promoted, it can play a positive role, particularly in the technology backward LDCs. Thus, the government of India and number of other countries have therefore taken a number of regulatory and the promotional measures to take the advantage of the foreign technology without sacrificing the nation interest. Thus, in this part, the areas of the regulation, there are a number of regulatory measures which have been taken by the different countries to ensure that the technology chosen is the best available, appropriate to the domestic conditions, and that it discriminate an unnecessary import of the foreign technology which is not undertaken. And following are the aspects of the technology commonly regulated. They are: first is the extent and the terms of the equity participation. They are generally determined by the priorities of the technology using industry in the nation's economy, supply conditions of the technology and its type and the nature. Second is phasing of the domestic manufacturing. Where foreign technology is employed, many governments, including that of the India, insisted upon indigenization of the phased manner. Thus, the government of India in the past also insisted that the suitable provisions should be made for the training of the Indians in the field of production and management. Further, there should be an adequate arrangements for the research and development, engineering design, training of the technical personnel, and other measures for the absorption, adaptation, development of the imported technologies, and so on. In this part, the appropriateness of the technology is the next point. The appropriateness of the technology represents the permission to import the particular technology is a generally based on the consideration that the suitability of the technology to the socio-economic and the ecological conditions in the country and the priority of the technology using industry in the national economy. According to the guidelines issued by the government of India, the entrepreneurs should, to the fullest extent possible, explore alternative sources of technology, evaluate them for the techno-economic point of view, and furnish reasons for preferring the particular technology and the source of import. Next is the payment terms and the foreign exchange outflow. The most governments take measures to ensure that this Disproportionately high payments are not paid for any technology. Restrictions were imposed and also on the dividend payments and the pricing. Thus, the Government of India guidelines clearly laid down that there should not be no requirement for the payment of the minimum guaranteed royalty regardless of the quantum and the volume of the production. Next is restrictive terms in the agreement. The technology imports are highly restrictive terms on the importing the parties and are not generally favored. For instance, according to the Government of India policy, to the fullest extent possible, there should be no restriction on the free export of all countries. Further agreements or the clauses which is in the phased manner. Thus, the Indian party with regard to the procurement of the capital goods, components, spares, raw materials, pricing policy and selling arrangements should be avoided. Next is potential measures. To take full advantage the positive role of the foreign technology, it is necessary to take certain promotional measures which include assessing the technological requirements in the various sectors and identifying the areas where the foreign technology is required. Second is the dissemination of the information in the foreign countries regarding foreign investment potentials and the scope for the technical collaboration in the domestic economy, government policies and the regulations investment of the foreign capital in the technology, and the institutional assistance and the infrastructure and other facilities for industrial development. Thus, the Indian Investment Center established in 1961 has been playing such a role. Next is the provision of the advisory services to the Indian entrepreneurs in respect to the foreign technology, including the techniques and the process for the technology transfer. Thus, over there in the nutshell, the natural factors and available technology indicates normally the innate potential for the development of the business economy of the national region. The extent to which the potential is really exploited depends on the economic, social, demographic and the political environment. The technological developments have been revolutionized the businesses. They facilitate not only the introduction of the new products but also tremendous improvements in the operational efficiency and the exciting changes in the modus operandi of the businesses. It implies inter alia that even when good demands exist for an old product, adoption of the state-of-art technology for the conduct of the businesses would be necessary for the survival. Thus, the information technology has vastly informed the marketing and the financial market scenario and has significantly contributed for the globalization process. Technology often provides the competitive advantages. Success in many industries has lot of what to do with the R&D innovations. There are many factors which simulate the innovative drive for the firm. This include the company's own strategy, demanding customers' competition, including the threats of the substitutes, certain social forces, government policies, etc. There is no guarantee that the innovation will be in commercial success. An innovative product can commercially fail due to the various reasons. Success presupposes even several favorable conditions. Thus, the important strategic issues confronting many firms is whether to be the technology leader or to be the follower. There is number of prerequisite advantages and disadvantages associated with both. The company may also source technology externally, like from R&D departments, other firms, including foreign firms, while sourcing foreign technology. And the firm should ensure that the technology it chooses is appropriate, and one should be able to properly absorb the technology. Japanese industry is known for the choice of appropriate technology and improving on them after the absorption. The government policy sometimes is very important. Technological environment, restrictions on the foreign technology, scale of operations, type of technology, etc. very adversely affected the Indian business in the past, and thus the liberalization has significantly improved the situation. Now, these are the following references which you can refer for the topic called technological environment, in which the content from the Stephen Wartic or by the Mushling are good, and many more other contents can be referred over here. Additionally, now we can discuss some other content. If I talk about the technological environment, again a small overview from some of the content can be discussed over here, in which the technological environment is defined as an advancement in the field of technology which influences the businesses by investing or innovating new products or services to satisfy the needs of the customers. And in order to understand this, we are taking the examples from the present scenario. In the 21st century, online transactions are conducted, online shopping is done, bill payments is done, online and so forth. In this part, we will be introducing you to the concept of the technology transfer, the role of the information technology and evolving technology, and the steps involved in planning of the technology adoption concept and the appropriate technology and the impact of technology on the globalization. Thus, the major objectives through this content is that you will be able to define the technology transfer, analyze the role of the information technology, the clean technology, list the steps involved in the planning of the technology adoption, state the impact of the technology on the globalization, and so on. In this part, the technology policy, in the technology trade and the transfer, in any society, economic growth would be possible only through the introduction of the improved technical inputs into the process of the economic transformation. In the last few decades, it has been quite clear that no economic development would be possible without higher technological inputs available in the society. Our planners have pointed out that the capital must be created and selective capital be invested in the growth of the development of the economy if the country wants to achieve a desired rate of growth. Thus, the importance of the capital cannot be denied, but the capital by itself will not be able to bring out the change which we are looking for. Thus, the capital only means by over here is facilitating input of the technology. Thus, the economic growth of Japan, Korea, Taiwan presently are the clear examples that the input technology and the improved grade of the technology have been responsible for their progress. In spite of our 8 5-year plans, there we have not been able to grow at the desired rate, nor we are in a position to produce and compete with Japan and Korea, as we would not be able to bring in and use the latest technology. Hence, we can just conclude that capital and money cannot alone make a move us faster and forward as desired goal. Instead, it was the application of the latest technology which is needed. Thus, the technology means scientific knowledge for the manufacturer of the product or rendering of the services. Science produces the knowledge, technology helps to produce the wealth. Technology gives us the owner temporary advantage over his competitors. That is why the owners of the technology protect his technique from others through restrictions, as patent and charge is the money from those who want to use it. The acquisition of the technology from external sources is known as technology transfer, and the technology may be considered as improving something already being done. It is satisfying a long-pending need and creating the possibility of the new need. It may be invention or innovation in the process. It is in the early stage of the development. Technical changes in the country is mainly the result of the advanced technologies improved from industrially and the technologically advanced countries. Therefore, it is to say that the technical progress is an agent of the technology transfer. Technical change is defined as shift in the production function, various factors accumulating and identifying is identified with the movement along with the function. There are two distinct components of the technological progress. One are the elements that are embodied in the original machinery and the equipments, and the second are the disembodied components, which are subsequently added by the innovation in the recipient countries in the field of production, management, marketing, raw material, etc., which is known as the technology transfer. There is evidence to show that the rate of technological progress can be stepped by the disembodied components even in the existing technology. Now, over here, the scope of technology can be explained as the resource which comprises knowledge, skills, means by using the controlling and the factors of production and produce, maintain, distribute goods and services for which there is an economic and the social demand. Under this broad definition, various sources of the technology transfer can be grouped under the following categories, in which the first is the projects, the foreign direct investment, turnkey constructions, and the co-productions. Second is the trade, the sales of the equipments, tools, and end products. Third is contractors and the development, the licensing of the patents, trademarks, management, and equipment maintenance, risk contracts for the oil drilling. Fourth is R&D. In the R&D location of the R&D operations in the foreign country, joint R&D projects, etc. Fifth is the personal exchanges, the development assistance under the bilateral and the multilateral programs. international executive crops, employment of the foreign nations, etc. When we talk about the next is publications. Publications mean the professional and the scientific literature or the technical publications which are available from the various sources. Then the conferences represents the professional and the scientific meetings, academic conferences, technical societies and the trade associations. Next is the teaching and the training, the foreign study in the regular undergraduate and the graduate programs, training programs of the United Nations and other international agencies, international training programs of the business firms, etc. Other include the transfers from the international tender invitations, acquisitions of the companies, government to government agreements, etc. Thus, the great majority of the developing countries, include India, are poor and suffer from low population, consequence higher rate of unemployment. This technology of the advanced countries, by definition, is capital intensive, where as the technology is required in the most developing countries has to be employment intensive. This is therefore only the basic contradiction that the transfer of the capital intensive technology into the developing countries is likely to worsen the employment position. As such, the technology would deny the unemployment gains of the economic growth through the adoption of the capital intensive techniques. The extremists therefore argue for almost total rejection of the transferring Western technology to the Indian conditions and advocates for the adoption of the Gandhian or the Maoist patterns of the economic development, in which the emphasis is not on maximization of the income but on the maximization of the employment. Those who are moderate views are of the opinion that the transference of the Western technology may not be feasible in toto, yet there are certain areas like generation of the power where the capital intensive technology may pay desired dividends. Both the views ascertain that the import of the technology needs careful handling. The priorities of the national planning and the choice of the technologies may have to be optimized. An appropriate technology that will maximize the employment at the same time provide the consumer products are at a reasonable price and are yet to be involved. Sometimes it is argued that the developed countries must involve appropriate technology suitable for the environment of the developing countries and should not be transfer their higher sophisticated technologies. Advanced industrialized countries are trying to sell their technologies to the less developed countries. This is being done either by establishing the multinational companies or through the technical collaborations with the leading companies. This is transfer of technology. It should be selective and its application should be according to the conditions prevailing in the developing countries yet concerned. Now, the method of the technology transfer. The transfer of the technology, which we discussed in this session previously also, is again been discussed. The transfer of the technology can be achieved by improving and updating the technologies, by adopting the absorbing new technologies, by innovating and improving the technology imported, by better using technology in the production, by improving the new kinds of products, and thus by improved system and improved organization and the effective use of the technology. Now, we'll be discussing about various government agencies which are helping into the technology promotion and the technology transfers. For example, the first is NESTBIRD. It is National Science and Technology Entrepreneurship Development Board. NESTBIRD is the National Science and Technology Entrepreneurship Development Board, which was established in 1982 by the Government of India under the aegis of Department of Science and Technology, and is an institutional mechanism to help promote knowledge-based and technology-driven enterprises, with the board having representation from the socio-economic and scientific departments and the institutions, aims to convert the job seekers into the job generators through the science and technology, that is S&T interventions. The major objective of the NESTBIRD is to promote and develop the high-quality entrepreneurship among S&T manpower and to promote the self-employment and utilizing the S&T infrastructure. Second is to facilitate and launch various promotional services regarding to the development of the entrepreneurship. Third is to network the agencies to support the system, academic institutions and the R&D organizations to foster the entrepreneurship and the self-employment using S&T with the special focus on the backward areas as well as. The programs are broadly classified into the various areas. The following areas includes the EAC, that is Entrepreneurship Awareness Camp, then the Entrepreneurship Development Programs, EDPs, Faculty Development Programs, FDPs, Open Learning Programs in the Entrepreneurship, that is OLP, and the Technology Based EDP, that is TEDP. Now, the institutional mechanisms for the entrepreneurship development part includes Entrepreneurship Development Cell, Science and Technology, Entrepreneurship Development STED projects, Science and Technology Entrepreneurship Parks STEP, Technology Business Incubators TBM. The next part into this is the technology trends in India, that is the role of information technology and the clean technology. Today, India has become one of the strongest in the world in terms of the scientific manpower and capacity and maturity. Hence, we are in a position not only to understand the technologies, but we may have to borrow that, but also to create our own technology with the extensive scientific inputs of the indigenous origins. Basically, we have come a long way since our independence, from mere buyers of the technology to those who have made significant and technology as an important contributor for the national development and the societal transformation. In a world where the powers are determined by their share of the world's knowledge, reflected by the patents and the papers and so on, the WTO started to play a crucial role in the economic development. It is important for India to pull all her acts together to become a continuous innovator and creator of the science and technology intensive products. Now, the business technology trends in India as an organization enter into the evolution from the transactional system to the engagement system. A shift is happening, and the engagement requires a way different designs, point, and business models for the success. These shifts have massive impact on the societal, technological, economical, environmental, and political landscapes. According to the constellational research analysis, the following trends are visible in the business environment technology. It includes first is the consumerization of IT, which is not, it is not enterprise class. The business has failed. Second is the organization that masters data visualizations gain the advantage of the speed. Third is the new growth which comes from monetizing the complete ownership life cycle. Fourth is the successful organizations are emphasizing on the social shifts from B2B, B2C to E2P network. Fifth is the corporate digital divide is growing larger. Then the last is the market leaders know how to manage the innovation. Thus, in this, the recent technological developments in India are first is the digital ticket. And in fact, this list is infinite. We can just give you these few points. The list is really infinite because things are coming up daily, weekly, monthly, and different sectors, different areas, different things. We can just highlight very, it's just less than 1% of things are being highlighted out of those innovations. So the first is digital ticket. Digital ticket is basically after the convenience of booking the cinema tickets online, which comes with the ease of buying the tickets from a cell phone or mobiles, or even from the iPads or laptops. You are also paying for it through the phone. Because a Bangalore-based Jigarak is believed to be working on the software application. Not only this, you will be able to book the tickets using your own personal digital assistant, PDA, or through any hand engine. Second is the movie on demand. For example, the Tata Sky Direct to Home or Amazon or Netflix or Tata Sky or Jio Cinemas, anyone. They have the DTH services which provide consumers to have much more choices, not to mention the better picture and sound quality, but also thanks to the various advanced level of setup boxes. Next is the robots or the chatbots. IBO, which has a cult following in the United States, Japan, of course, American IBO buyer trends of computers, geeks who wants to hack the robotic dog programming. So the Japanese consumers, on the other hand, treat this Sony robots as a pet. So the robot in the US had already taken over the domestic tasks like non-moving vacuum cleaning or the window cleaning. The iRobot says that it has sold hundreds of thousands of units of the Robma, a self-guided, self-propelled vacuum cleaner, and which has been sold for around $200 in just 1 year. With the cheap labor in India, with the domestic robots become popular, not likely in the coming years. However, the robots have other uses. Many Indians onto ancillary majors, and the major technical players are using robots to meet the global precision standards, and the robots have also been used in the cardiac surgeries. Next is the RFID. RFID is radio frequency identification technology, which is no longer about the US and the For example, in the Pune, Gaikwad University uses RFID the library cards. We can see the RFID at the toll taxis. We can even see RFID at the malls or at the cinemas or even at various shopping stores. So these RFIDs are basically, they are the patterns which can be seen either at the retails like Pantaloons or the shopper stops and many more things. They were introduced by the student identity RFID card as an RFID cards which allow students to access the hostels in Pune and almost in every places. Even RFID is used to track how the manufacturing is done in ITC or their cigarette brands. So RFID is not a barcode replacement, while barcodes are better for collecting the data in the structured places like warehouses. RFID are expected to use to collect the data collection in the largely chaotic or the unstructured business processes like retail environments to the hospitals. Now, next is GPS. GPS is basically, for example, the telematics, the integrated use of the telecommunication and informatics is catching up in the transportation sector. Global positioning system, that is GPS, is being used earlier by KSRTC, Karnataka State Road Transport Corporation in Bangalore. Even many Indian logistic companies too are using GPS to track the vehicle movements and their errand drivers. Thus, the vehicle telematics systems are also increasingly being used to provide the remote diagnostics, a vehicle inbuilt system which identify a mechanical or the electronic problems, and the telematic packages will automatically make this information known to the vehicle manufacturers and the service organizations and others forthcoming applications, including on-demand navigation, audio, and the audio-visual entertainment contents. The last is podcast. See, the podcast is for the uninitiated. Imagine a desktop aggregator who, if you need to subscribe to the set of feeds. So, thus the podcasting works similarly, except that instead of reading, you will be able to listen to the content. So, the next topic over here is about the clean technology. What do you mean by clean technology? Clean technology includes recycling renewable energy, that is about the wind, power, solar, biomass, hydropower, biofuels, etc., in which the information technology, IT, green transportation, electric motors, green chemistry, lighting, grey water, and many other appliances that are now energy efficient. Thus, it is means to create the electricity and the fuels with the smaller environment footprints and minimize pollution. To make the green energy transport and the infrastructure both are energy efficient and environmentally benign. Thus, the environmental finance is a method by which new clean technology projects that are proven, they have the additional or beyond businesses as usual, can obtain the financing through generation of the carbon credits. Thus, the project that is developed with concern of the climate change mitigation, such as Kyoto Clean Development Mechanism project, is known as carbon project. While there is no standard definition of the clean technology, it has been described by the Clean Edge, a clean technology research firm, as a diverse range of products, services, processes that harness renewable materials and the energy sources dramatically, which reduce the use of natural resources and cut or eliminate the emissions and the waste. It is a note that the clean technologies are competitive with, if it is not superior to, with conventional counterparts. Many also offer significant additional benefits, notably their ability to improve the life of those in both developed and developing countries. Thus, in the United States, the clean technology industry is largely based in the Silicon Valley. Next is the time lag in the technology. There has been a considerable time lag between the countries in respect to the introduction or the adoption of the technology. For example, the cable TV came to India only in the beginning of 1990s. And the late introduction, also slow expansion, affected not only the television business but also the advertisement and the media industry and the product promotion. Thus, the time lag is a fairly long interval of the time between one event and another related event that happens after it. Next over is the appropriate technology. Even when the technology is sought to be imported, it can be seen whether it is suits Indian conditions. The heat, dust, humidity, and the other climate conditions in India are obvious points of differences, as there are knowledge levels and the attitudes of the persons who abroad who might have successfully used this technology. Thus, the Indians have different outlook of the life, and it is time of the Indian labor to imbibe the attitudinal changes that often go within the new system. For example, the Japanese concept of the Kaizen or the small cumulative improvements, or even the Toyota automatic quality system, were individual workers who are empowered to the levels that the individual laborers has yet to experience. Moreover, it could be possible that the raw materials and other inputs the user countries take from the guaranteed from the granted might be scarce or even non-existence in India. Thus, the condition of our road transport bottlenecks, lack of the adequate cold chains and other infrastructure inadequacies, and the bureaucratic bottlenecks could make a huge difference of the efficiency with which new technologies functions in India. In fact, like any other form transplanted on the alien soil, it needs to be alchemized or adapt to the changes today's condition. It must be seen that whether any such adaptation is necessary, and if so, whether it is feasible. Labor is cheap and abundant in India, whereas it is just opposite abroad, and so the imported technology is usually capital intensive, not the labor intensive. Generally, but just the reverse of what often suits our local conditions. Besides, the Indian economy is unlikely to be identical, so that the exporting countries, the purchasing power of the average Indian is far less than his Western counterpart, and the imported technology may push up the price of the finished products beyond its capacity to pay. Hence, the financial aspect is just crucial when it comes to managing the discussions to import the particular technology as and far beyond the mere cost of technology itself. Next is technology adoption. Before discussing the issue of technology adoption, the technology absorption and upgradation, it is desirable to discuss about the terminology. So adoption is the process under which the various features of the technology with the subject of transfer are suitably modified, changed, or altered, keeping in view the need of the buyers. Whereas adoption, this is a phase which comes after technology which has been adopted and put into the use of the production activities. In this stage, the number of alterations and the modifications are made to suit the conditions. Next in this is the absorption. The technology is said to be absorbed if it is fully understood so that it is in a position to be further optimized and upgraded. It involves the know-how, why exercise, and the basic investigation into the product or the processes. Thus, the optimization of the technology involves removing of the rough edges through the R&D and value engineering to bring out savings in the use of the material and the energy consumption both in the products and the processes. Next is the technology improvement and the upgradation. Remember, improvement, technology absorption in the optimizing capabilities can lead to the further exercise in improving the existence, exciting products and this processes, or by R&D efforts of industry and other associated research organizations. Thus, the technology upgradation exercises lead to the industry efforts in extending its know why capability to the higher range of the products. Of late, the concept of technology adoption has attracted much more attention due to the explosive growth of the new technologies such as internet, wireless communications, and the broadband communications. Thus, the technology adoption means that the successful implementation of the technology and deriving the full potential of the technology. The adoption is relatively easy in the new enterprises as compared to the ongoing form because there is no existing system in the new enterprises where it is an ongoing enterprise. The prevailing systems have to be modified and the existing work processes, working environment and the culture may have to be changed, which is usually very difficult. Thus, the technology adoption requires gearing up all the resources such as internal and the external infrastructure, human resources, raw materials, and marketing. It has been observed that many technologies that were transferred from the developed to the developing countries were not successfully adopted because of the inappropriateness of those technologies for the developing countries. Now, what are the causes of inappropriateness which are discussed over here? Thus, the missing preferences of the local market and the consumer technology is based on the important raw materials and sufficient skill of the labor and not scale down of the local market. This insufficient use of the technology which is caused by the local labor, and last is the excessive use of the capital goods and the imported equipments. Thus, the other general reasons which are identified over here are: the first is high cost of the transfer, second is the environmental pollution problem, the third is impact due to the application, fourth is the impact due to the energy inputs. Now, what are the planning for technology adoptions? What are the planning for the technology adoptions? The planning for the implementation of the new technology should be through and should encompass a relatively long-term horizon to assure that the stability of the new system. The complex process of introducing a new technology necessitates particularly a practical plan which focuses on the employees' needs and deals with the issues of the concern to them. Next, thus the step in the process of the technology adoption plan include the following. The first is identify of the target group. Thus the target group signifies the customer. This process involves identification of the customers. The plan can be implemented well if we know the view of the customers. And it helps to locate and analyze the resistance to the change. That the introduction to the new technology in the organization causes the change process in the organization. People can resist the change because they are very comfortable with the old values and the beliefs. Next is it assesses the actual ability of the change. It is required to check within the organization whether they are capable of introducing the technology and undergoing the change process. इसके बाद next is assesses the capacity and the resources to change, to check whether one has sufficient resource to undergo the change process. And the last is assess the perceived priority of the change. Thus, the organization has to prioritize the activities of the change process. Next is the impact of technology on the globalization. There are various methods of globalization. Companies with the latest technology acquires distinct competencies and gain the advantage of producing the high quality products at low cost. With this advantage, the company can enter the foreign market and introduce their latest technology in the foreign countries also. Companies may have technological collaboration with the foreign companies through which the technology spreads from country to country. Thus, the foreign companies allows companies of various other countries to adopt their technologies on the royalty payment basis or on the outright purchase basis. Thus, the companies also globalize the technology through the modes of joint ventures and the mergers. Companies spread the latest technology through the globe and the technology itself. Thus, the global company possible and the faster the process of the technology. Therefore, technology makes a company acquire distinct competencies over other foreign companies and paves the way of their entrance into the foreign market. In addition, the latest development of the information technology have enabled the global company to develop a virtual company. In few questions you can think related to the topic we have discussed in this. For example, what are the distinct components of the technological process? In this, there are two distinct components. The one is the element that are embodied in the original machinery, and the second is disembodied components which are subsequently added by innovation. This, and in which year NestBed was established? It was established in the year 1982 by Government of India, Department of Science and Technology. Thus, we can summarize that the technology means scientific knowledge of the manufacturer services. And the technical change is defined as a shift in the production functions. Various factors accumulation is defined as a movement along the function. Thus, the scope of the technology will be defined as a resource which comprises of the knowledge, skills, and means by using the controlling the factor of production to produce and maintain and distribute the goods and services for which there is an economic and social demand. Thus, the NestBed established in 1982 by the Government of India under the aegis of DST. It is institutional mechanism to help the promote the knowledge-based technology-driven emphasis. Next, we need to summarize the clean technology. Clean technology includes recycling renewable wind power, solar, biomass, biomass, hydro, biofuels, etc. Information technology, the green transportation, the green motors, green chemistry, the green water lightning, and many other appliances which are now energy efficient. In United States, the clean technology industry is the largest, largely based in the Silicon Valley, whereas the labor is cheap in India and abundant in India, whereas it is just the opposite abroad. So the imported technology is usually capital intensive, not the labor intensive. Just the reverse, generally just the reverse of what often suits our local conditions. Thus, the adoption is the key process which the following features of technology which is subject to the transfer and are suitably modified, changed or altered, keeping in view of the needs of the buyer. Thus, planning of the implementation of the new technology should be thorough and should encompass a relatively long-term horizon to assure that the stability of the new system. Thus, the few key terms that is technical change, GPS and the podcast, which might be new to you, we have discussed over here. So this is for the today's this session. We thank you. This is your faculty and coach Vivek Broda. For any query, you can connect back to me on my email ID vivekb.management@gmail.ac.in. Thank you.